Welcome to the OSU Woodshop safety video. I'm going to take a couple minutes to talk to you about some personal and some group safety things in the shop. Starting off, what everyone thinks of eye protection and ear protection is required in the shop. So I'm going to recommend that you go and get some safety glasses. Your own are going to be better because they won't be scratched up. Prescription glasses do work, but it's always nice to throw another pair on top. For ear protection, earplugs work, or the good old ear muffs. Another thing for eye and ear protection, if you want to do it, is a visor, especially anytime on a lathe. The big visors are great because of the amount of wood chips. Other things with safety in the wood shop, anytime you're doing a sanding or an operation that's putting off a lot of wood chips, like sanding, some of those fine little things, your own personal respirator is awesome. If you forget yours, the Craft Center does sell the disposable dust masks. We're working on the way down. After we talk about respiratory, we're talking about clothing. So making sure if you have long hair, it's tied up, making sure you don't have any rings or jewelry, necklaces, watches, all those things are removed. Everything in this wood shop spins, and I don't want anything to get sucked in. So that goes for long sleeves or untucked shirts. Dresses are not allowed. It's pants and closed-toed shoes are the best thing to be wearing in here. So when you get past the personal safety, we're talking about group safety. So that's watching out for the other people working in here, that you communicate so you don't bonk someone over the head when you're moving a piece of wood. Also be aware of when you're moving around when people are on tools, that you aren't spooking them or not giving them enough room. So always be around it, always be aware of your surroundings. Only use the machines and tools that you are intended to be used and that you have knowledge to keep yourself safe, keep the people around you safe, and keep the tool safe. Misuse of any of the tools can and will lead to dangerous accidents. And last thing, as always, if in doubt, please stop and go seek the proper training. Before operating any of the large stationary power tools in the shop, we need to make sure we check out the appropriate key and check that the dust port is open for the tool. For using the saw stop, we first want to energize the saw at the control panel, wait for it to go solid green, and then can use the large red toggle to turn the saw on. This is also the same switch we use to turn the saw off. Every time it turns on and off, it will blink green as the saw resets itself. It needs to go to solid green before the saw can be turned back on. As we prepare to make a cut, there are a few things we need to do. First, bring our workpiece over to the saw, raise the saw blade up, checking to make sure we don't have too much blade exposed. Then we will take appropriate measurements to know where to set our fence. Now that we have our fence set, we are ready to make our pass. We will turn the saw on, wait for it to reset. Line our workpiece up on the fence and energize the saw. While making a cut, we're going to keep focused on the cut to keep pressure against the fence to prevent kickback, as well as use push sticks and other jigs while working on small pieces to keep our fingers away from harm's way. We can use our thigh or knee to hit that large red switch to turn it off, leaving our hands on the work surface to hold the pieces until the blade completely stops moving. When we're done using the saw, we will switch the saw back off at the control panel, lower the saw blade, cover it with the fence for added protection, and don't forget to lock back up the breaker and clean up. There are jigs in the woodshop for community use on both the saw stop and the delta saw. To use these, first make sure you have the appropriate jig to which saw you're using. Move the fence far enough away so it does not interfere with the cut, and make a dry run to make sure you won't cut into the jig. The Delta table saw in the woodshop is the only saw that we ever installed a set of stacked dado blades on. It is always smart to double check the installation of the dado blades before making your pass, and check that you have the appropriate sized throat piece for the width of the dado you're preparing to cut. After installing the dado blades, check that they'll be cutting at the correct depth for the desired groove. Lastly, before making our cut, we will check our measurements again and set the fence. Now we're ready to energize the saw and make the cut, practicing all of our safe table saw operations. Be sure to turn off the saw and let those blades stop spinning before we start moving a workpiece around the saw. Making sure to lower the blade and cover it with the fence for added safety. The miter saw in the wood shop is used only for crosscut operations. To safely do this, we make sure we're holding our workpiece firmly against the fence and that we keep our hands towards the outside of the saw base. This will keep our hands far away from the blade. We can also use clamps or stands to help support longer workpieces. To use the saw for mitered cross-cutting, you'll first need to unlock the locking knob and lift the locking handle. This will allow you to slide it to the right and to the left. Go ahead and retighten that locking knob and take a dry run to make sure the blade will not cut into the fence on both the right and the left-hand sides. To tilt the saw blade, you'll want to lock the base into position, pull out the locking pin, and that will allow you to tilt the saw to the left. Again, make sure to take a dry run so you won't cut into the fence. Make sure to always take time to thoroughly clean up your work surface. The drill press in the wood shop is used for any kind of boring or drilling operation. Like all the large stationary tools, you'll first want to check the key out from the front desk to unlock the drill press. Next, we'll secure our bit into the chuck, making sure we hand tighten and then use the chuck key to make sure it's secure. Next, you'll find the drill press has a work light on it, which can be helpful when lining up our marks. After we've lined up our first mark with our bit, we want to secure the workpiece in place with some clamps. This prevents any chance of the workpiece being caught by our drill bit and being thrown out of the drill press. Double checking our alignment. Now time to check the set belt speed of the drill press. There's a handy chart that shows drill bit sizes and styles and what the appropriate speed they should be set on. When it's time to drill a hole, turn the drill press on. Slowly and smoothly let the drill press bore out the hole for you. When done with drill press, make sure to turn it off. Let it completely stop spinning before you walk away to grab a broom and dustpan for cleaning up. Always make sure to sweep the floor too. You're done with the drill press. Time to unclamp your workpiece, remove your drill bit, lock the drill press back up, and return the key to the front desk. The large bandsaw in the shop can be used for any cross-cut or ripping operations, but please no milling. Also, you'll typically find the blast gate for the large bandsaw left closed. You'll make sure to open this before you use the saw. Next, you'll want to adjust the blade guard and upper blade guide to the appropriate height, leaving just enough room above your workpiece. You'll find the knob to loosen and tighten this on the back side of the saw. After our blade guide is set, time to turn on the saw and commence with the safe cutting operation for our style of cut. After finishing our cut, we'll want to turn off the saw, use the foot brake to slow the saw down, make sure the blade is completely stopped spinning before cleaning up. The small bandsaw operation is the same way to adjust the blade guard and upper blade guide. Only difference is smaller size, it does not need a manual foot brake to slow down. One of the sanders found in the shop is a combination disc and belt sander. While sanding on the disc portion, always sand on the left-hand side of the disc, or the downstroke. Sanding on the right-hand side, or the upstroke of the disc, can result in the workpiece being thrown from your hands. While sanding on both the disc and the belt sander, make sure to apply enough pressure to safely keep the workpiece positioned. Not more, not less. Another one of the sanders you'll find in the new studio space is an edge sander. While using the sander, we'll make sure to keep our hands away from the braces like we would do on all of the sanding equipment. We also move our workpiece from a left to right direction. This will reduce the chance of the sander grabbing and pulling the workpiece from our hands. While using any of the sanders in the workshop, it is recommended to wear a dust mask or a respirator to improve respiratory safety. And when you're done using the tool, make sure to always thoroughly clean up your studio space. When setting up the planer for use in the wood shop, you'll first want to unlock both of the bed locking knobs. There are two of these, remember that. Next, we will second check our thickness of our board and set the planer to only be removing a 1/16 at most of material. This is done by raising and lowering the knob. Now with the planer set, we're ready to make our pass. At this point, you can retighten the two bed locking knobs. This will result in a more evenly planed board. When we've started to feed our board, the planer is self-feeding, so there's no need to push or pull your board. You may want to support it if you're working with longer pieces. After it has completely made its pass, you're ready to turn the planer off. While using the jointer in the wood shop, we start off as always unlocking the breaker with a key checked out from the front desk. Then make sure to double check the dust blast gate. It should be open always for the planer and jointer, but always good to second check. Next, before we turn the jointer on, we will check the depth of cut off the outfeed table. There is a guide on the jointer, but it's always good to check again. This is done by putting a straight edge from the outfeed table onto the infeed table and making sure the gap between the two is no more than a 1/16 of an inch. Now that our depth of cut is set, we will set our fence so not too much excess cutter head is showing. You will find push sticks and paddles on the jointer that will assist you in making a safe pass. Now turn the saw on and use those push sticks to help you feed your workpiece through, making sure to apply enough pressure to securely hold the workpiece against the bed and against the fence. Once your workpiece has completely cleared the cutter head, you can turn the jointer off. Make sure to let it completely stop spinning before you adjust the fence or position yourself to make another pass. When you're done using the jointer, make sure to adjust the fence so it completely covers the cutter head and clean up. Finally, let's go back over some of the woodshop general and personal safety points. While in the studio, always pay attention to safety. Be aware of your surroundings. Only use machines and tools how they're intended to be used. Misuse can and will cause dangerous accidents. When in doubt, please stop, don't use the tool, and seek proper training. Also remember a few of these important personal safety points. Always have eye protection on in the shop. Hearing protection is required anytime there's tools running in the shop. And for the clothing, please dress appropriately. This means closed-toed shoes, no loose or baggy clothing. Make sure to remove any kind of jewelry, such as rings, necklaces, watches, and please tie up any long hair. Remember, when doing operations such as sanding or routing that can produce lots of fine sawdust, it's recommended to wear either a dust mask or a respirator. So in conclusion, keep building safely.